Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's July 20th, 2016. For the last 2 days, the mainstream media has been buzzing with the needless distraction story. Did Donald Trump's wife plagiarize Barack Obama's wife with her opening speech July 18th at the start of the GOP convention? In this video, I'll touch on what's actually significant about that story. But before we get to that, what I want to talk about is what happened just moments before she gave that speech when Donald Trump took the stage. The night of the GOP convention, I was watching live, and when Donald Trump came out on the stage, something very curious happened. If you haven't seen his introduction, I'm going to play it for you, and then we'll talk about what this was really all about. Check this out. Here's the footage of Donald Trump coming out. This is just before he introduces his wife to give the speech that is now all the buzz with the plagiarism questioning. Here we go.
Thank you. We love you. Thank you very much. We're going to win. We're going to win so big. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, so what I thought is, wow, Queen, coming out to Queen? It made me feel like I was back in high school at a pep assembly, getting ready for the big football game, the big basketball game. You know, think about how many high schools playing Queen, We Are the Champions. The other thing I thought about is how much I've been talking about the Queen this past year, the royal family, even going back to last year, Prince dying this year on the Queen's birthday. Check this out, Truth Seeker. This is very interesting. If you're new here, I talk about gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. This practice is very important to the Freemasons and Zionists who control our media, who rig our elections, who've written our history books. This language seems to be the most important language to them. Even more important than the actual words themselves are the numbers behind them. And if that sounds absurd to you, please go through my work and see all that I've revealed. I've taken apart this country from the beginning of its history up to the present, showing how it's all coded by a certain set of numbers that are ever repeating. United States of America in gematria sums to 84, just like the song We Are the Champions, written by Queen. Donald Trump also became a celebrity in 1984. That's when his face became popular with media going on cable news, introducing his celebrity that is still ongoing. You know, Donald Trump, he's been in TV shows, reality TV, WWE. Excuse me, I got allergies. And now, even running for president. He's the top candidate for the Republican Party. This guy has been a character actor for the United States for a very long period of time. And having actors in the presidency is nothing new for this nation. Ronald Reagan, Hollywood actor, became the 33rd governor of California, then became the president. Arnold Schwarzenegger, actor, became governor of California. And you have to remember, when you're governor of California, you are in charge of a state that's larger than the majority of the countries in this world. The name Arnold Schwarzenegger sums to 223 like Masonic. You might remember back then when Bush was the president and Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California, they were having these debates on whether somebody who's not born an American should be allowed to become president. And then the president to follow Bush was Obama, and Donald Trump at the beginning of Obama's presidency started the whole birther argument that Barack Obama's birth certificate wasn't valid, possibly born somewhere else. Rumors he's from Kenya. Interestingly enough, there is a Hawaii in Kenya. But anyway, here's where it gets more interesting with regards to Trump coming into Queen. The Queen right now is Elizabeth. Elizabeth in Gematria equals 88. Trump in Gematria equals 88. The first recognized president of the United States, George Washington, also has this 88 Gematria. So does the phrase Uncle Sam. From Queen Elizabeth's birthday to Donald Trump coming on the stage to Queen was exactly 88 days. Remember, Prince died on the Queen's birthday. He was 57. She turned 90, a difference of 33 years. Earlier in the year, February, I predicted that Prince would die based on the death of Vanity before the Grammys. Vanity and Prince connected through music, through relationship, through the movie Purple Rain. The day Prince died, they lit up Niagara Falls purple for the Queen. Vanity is from Niagara Falls. All of these things connected. I've been talking about them all year. There's so much narrative going on. It's a lot to review. If you want to know more about what I'm talking about, go back and watch my video on Vanity, Prince, the Invictus Games, this alliance between the UK and the United States. Think about Trump being over in the United Kingdom the day of the Brexit vote. In Vegas not long ago, somebody from Britain tried to assassinate him, supposedly. We got that story. We'll review that. But this stuff's no coincidence. Donald Trump coming out to Queen 88 days after her birthday. Trump and Elizabeth 88. The date July 18th can also be written 18/7, a lot like 187, the homicide code for a lot of police departments. George Washington, the big way, also sums to 187. If you didn't see my video I put out on July 18th about the history of shootings in 187 and this nation, please check that out. Very important video. So, what else I noticed about these times? They had him come out in 1021, which is a lot like 121. 0 doesn't count when it's in the middle of a number in numerology terms. Revelation has gematria of 121. Revelation's the book of prophecy. These madmen that are scripting all of these events by the numbers, they go from Revelation, the book of prophecy, and I don't think it's any coincidence that Trump's coming out at 1021. So anyway, after his wife's speech, she comes and gives him a kiss right at 1038. And I thought to myself, is that a coincidence? Donald Trump equals 138. All throughout the year, they've been pairing Donald Trump up with other things that have gematria of 138 and making these narratives out of them. Always divisive. A perfect example is the Ku Klux Klan. You know, a lot of Donald Trump and the Ku Klux Klan. Does he have ties? How does he feel about them? How come he doesn't distance himself? Donald Trump equals the same thing as Ku Klux Klan. The media is just always putting out ridiculous stories. KKK wins Adopt a Highway ruling. What's Adopt a Highway equal? 138. All this stuff is being put out to piss us off, to divide us. It's why we're getting Donald Trump the stooge as even a Republican candidate. It's why we're getting Hillary Clinton, who nobody likes, as the Democratic contestant. All of this is about provoking us and signs of who we live under, the tyrants that truly rule over us. You know, I'm no Bernie Sanders fan, but Bernie Sanders was just going across the country, bringing out huge audiences everywhere he went of young people lining up early in the morning, camping out to see him. You know, when the Clintons went into town, Hillary Hill, nobody was there. Hillary and Bill. Nobody came out to see them. You know, it's so obvious how rigged these elections are. Sure, people were coming out for Donald Trump. That's also because we live in a nation of morons. If you ever watched the movie Idiocracy, notice when they show the dumb American at the beginning of that movie, they show his IQ is 84. United States of America, 84. CNN called this an epic entrance. If you watched it yourself, you kind of saw how Donald Trump came out ho-hum, looked like his shoulders were slouched, his arms kind of just dragging in the wind. I don't think Donald Trump was too enthused to come out to the Queen. And I'm telling you, everything's set up for Hillary. Queen Hillary. They use the word epic, having gematria of 33, just like Cleveland, the city it's in. 33, when it's coded on something, it's often used as the sacrifice. In this case, I think it will be the sacrifice for Clinton. The name Clinton also sums to 33. So does federal. Very important number to Freemasonry. Remember, Bill Clinton was the 42nd president. He was born Bill Blythe. His biological father was murdered on a date with 33 and 87 numerology. Bill Clinton would take on the last name Clinton when he went off to Ivy League school, where he crossed paths with George W. Bush, the president to follow him. The date Bill Clinton's father, his biological father, Bill Blythe, died, a date with 33 and 87 numerology. The name Clinton is 33 the small way, 87 the big way. From Hillary's birthday to Inauguration Day is 87 days. Margaret Thatcher over in the United Kingdom died at age 87. If you haven't seen my work on Margaret Thatcher, Theresa May, and Hillary Clinton, all of these things show the alignment for a Hillary Clinton presidency. And all these clues are being dropped along the way, such as Donald Trump coming out to Queen. Let's look at something interesting about the single We Are the Champions. It came out with We Will Rock You on October 7th, 1977. And three things about that date stand out to me. October is the only month with gematria of 33. 10/7, as we'd write the date in the United States, a lot like 107. The word shooting equals 107, which we'll talk more about. And the year 77 also pops because Washington, D.C., the White House is on the 77th meridian, known as the American meridian. Donald Trump running to be in the White House. The date numerology of this song, a date with 113 numerology, mainstream equals 113, dishonest 113, Scottish 113. It was a date with 41 numerology, just like the date that Donald Trump came out to Queen was a date with 41 numerology, just like the date that the Queen turned 90 was a date with 41 numerology, same day Prince died on. Date with 32 numerology, America 32. They had this headline up also around the time they gave the speech. He will never let you down, gematria of 107, like the release date of the song, like the phrase shooting. You have to remember, the media has everything. They're working with the Zionist, Masonic banker tyrants who rule over us, who've scripted out history. So they give us headlines that fit the narrative that are coded. And so many people say, well, why do they go to these lengths? What's the purpose? You know, it seems to be ritual and possibly also a form of communicating between people in the know. And for all of you who need all of your questions answered to invest in something, realize that you're not that way about things that you were told as a child. I mean, how many of you celebrate Christmas, Easter Bunny, Santa Claus? There's no why for any of this. You just do it because you've been told. So for all of you who are just so, why, I don't get it, learn to think, learn to reflect, learn to, get a perspective and just think about all the stuff that you've accepted in your life without ever questioning why. I know most people in this world, they never question why about a single thing. They just go along with it as long as it comes from a certain source, such as a TV, a radio, a magazine, a newspaper. People have bought into all of the instruments that over the years have been everything but honest. When you look at the way the mainstream person is, all the things that they trust in, none of those things have any credibility, yet those are what they trust. And then they distrust their fellow man who has wisdom, who has logic, who has reason. So let's go back to this article from where Donald Trump was supposedly nearly assassinated in Las Vegas by a man from Britain. Notice how they emphasize wanted to shoot Donald Trump. That phrase has gematria of 101, just like the word assassin. This man tried to assassinate him. They say he was a Briton. Gematria of 33, just like police, just like Cleveland. And the police are in on all this. Or the police who even let this guy get close enough, help contrive the narrative, supposedly arrest him, put out the fake story. Freemasonry controls a lot in this nation. Police departments very much under their control. There's a reason almost all police departments are within just blocks of a Freemason lodge in every city you go to. Britain the big way also sums to the same thing as Cleveland. Cleveland 7833, Britain 7833. They said his name was Michael Stephen Sandford, which in gematria sums to 217. And what that made me think of when I saw this at the time is how the Republican convention concludes in Cleveland on 21/7, July 21st. From the date of this story, which happened June 18th, 4 days after Trump's birthday, until July 21st is 33 days. Britain, Cleveland. And July 21st is a date with 44 numerology, which is the kill number. The word kill equals 44. It shows up around political assassination all throughout history, from the first president to die in office to the last. William Henry Harrison, the 9th president, died on 4/4, April 4th, just like Martin Luther King Jr. and others. The last president to die in office was JFK, the 35th president. Catholic equals 35. He's the only Catholic president. He was also the 44th term president, killed in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Freemason. July 21st will follow July 11th by 10 days. There's been a lot of 7-Eleven coding with Donald Trump all year, including the big story where he mistakenly said 7-Eleven instead of 9/11. All throughout history, a pattern of 10 days later with assassinations too. From Abraham Lincoln, who dreamed on 4/4, April 4th, he'd be assassinated, and then was shot 10 days later on April 14th, a date written 14/4. Bobby Kennedy in 68 gave a speech on gun control and was shot 10 days later. He was speaking out about the death of Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassin would die in prison on a date with 144 numerology. JFK would die on the first day of Sagittarius with gematria of 144. Bobby Kennedy would die at 1:44 in the morning, and there's many more. Just want you to notice this gematria of 44 and 144. If you write out April 4th, it sums to 144. It is the reason that 44 is spelled in a nonsensical way. If our language wasn't based on gematria, there would be a U in 40. The reason there's not is because they want it to sum to 144, this special number. Shooting the small way, also gematria 44, the big way 107. Seems to be a lot of coding for shooting. They said that the assassin in Vegas attempting on Trump was a Dorking. He was from Dorking, gematria of 78, also like Cleveland, like Britain. And also his location, gematria of prophecy. These people are always following the prophecy code, Revelation, the book of prophecy. The assassination attempt happened in Las Vegas, Nevada, gematria of 133. Just like White House, just like government. Last year when Donald Trump, when the debates first started, they kept putting up on the screen that Forbes said he was the 133rd richest man in the world, they kept reporting. Donald Trump, the 133rd richest man in the world. I think Fox News had a story about 133 straight days of Donald Trump. Something like that. Also, Nevada is where Las Vegas is. Nevada and Ohio are the only two states with 47 gematria. The first Democratic debate was in Las Vegas, Nevada. The first Republican debate was in Ohio. I think they had it in Cleveland, either that or Cincinnati. But in Ohio and Nevada, the only two states with gematria of 47, just like president. The word agent also has gematria of 47, and that's what we get for president. Agents for an agenda who can lie to us, who can sell us out with a salesman's grin, just like Donald Trump, just like Hillary Clinton. Las Vegas alone also has special gematria. 86, like symbol, triangle, and pyramid. We're a people who are ruled by symbols. So the Atlantic, they put out this story. Trump time capsule number 44, Melanie channels Michelle. This is about her supposedly plagiarizing the speech. The Atlantic is out of Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. They're a paper that's been around for over 150 years. Some of my older work is showing the lies told before the Holocaust from the late 1800s all the way up until after World War II. It was printed in papers such as the New York Times, the Atlantic, many times over several decades that 6 million Jews had died somewhere in the world. It was told before World War I, during World War I, after World War I, before World War II, during World War II. It was a lie told so many times it's impossible to count. And the reason this lie of 6 million dead Jews was told in these papers so many times is because these papers are run by the Zionist Jews who in Revelation, the book of prophecy, it says the false Jews will rule in the end times, and they certainly do. They control our media, and our media is used to program our brains. I should have mentioned that the name Trump has the same gematria as program, poison. Anyhow, these Zionists, they use their papers to cast their lies on us, trying to make us believers of their dishonesty. And the reason they were selling the lie of 6 million dead Jews is because in the Talmud it says that 6 million Jews have to die to reclaim the Zionist state. And that's what World War I and World War II were about. We're about establishing this Zionist state, which is what they worked at, which is what they now have, Israel. And the Zionist agenda has been going on since before Israel. We're still living it out. You look at who runs Donald Trump's campaign, it's the same Zionist Jews that ran Barack Obama's campaign. It's the same Zionist Jews that are running Hillary Clinton's campaign and all the other politicians we get. This is a Zionist Masonic nation. It always has been from the beginning. We're living out an ongoing agenda, and the longer it goes on, the worse it gets. You know, I was asking myself as a 17-year-old when George W. Bush got elected how much worse it can get. You know, George W. Bush, the son of a former president, seemingly an idiot, arrogant, becomes the president right after September 11th, you know, loss of liberties, war we've been at ever since. Then we get Barack Obama, the salesman, you know, the guy that voted just like Bush, but everyone thought he was going to be something different. And now we get Donald Trump, the TV actor. Anyway, let me show you the greater parallels between Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and number 44, and where I think we're going. So, 44 is so interesting because Obama's the 44th president who ran on hope. The word hope has gematria 44. At the beginning of the Obama presidency, Donald Trump started the whole birther argument, as we talked about. Birther has gematria 44. And now for the last year plus of Obama's presidency, we've been getting more of Donald Trump in the media than we've ever seen of anyone in our lives. Donald Trump's been on the TV 24/7 ever since he announced his campaign. You know, Donald Trump, we got a lot of at the beginning of Obama's presidency with birther, and now we're hearing all about him running for president. And I was asking myself back at the beginning of the Obama presidency, what are they going to do for the next president? How are they going to top this whole Obama entertainment spectacle, which is what it was. Everybody was just so in awe of Obama, the con man, salesman, with nothing of substance to say. You know, everyone's so impressed with how he spoke at 3 words at a time and that charismatic voice as he sold everyone out. Donald Trump is running to be the 44th person to be president. Obama's the 44th president, but only the 43rd person to be. The next person will be the 44th person. That's because Grover Cleveland counted as 22 and 24, so the count's been off ever since number 24. Obama became president November 4th, 2008, a date with 43 numerology. He was elected that day. He accepted to be the 43rd person to be the president of the United States, coming from the land of Lincoln, Illinois. He gave his acceptance speech in Grant Park, having gematria 43. Lincoln was the Civil War president. Civil War equals 43. Charleston equals 43. Lincoln was born on the 43rd day of the year, February 12th. Lincoln's first name, Abraham, also has gematria 44, as does the nickname Honest Abe. Honest Abe sums to 35, and with the S exception, plus 9 more, 44. First presidential assassination, supposedly killed by an actor in a theater. Obama reopened Ford's Theater, where Lincoln was assassinated on February 11th, 2009, a very suspicious thing to do. Reopen a theater where Lincoln was assassinated with all the Lincoln connections. Here's Obama. If you look up The Atlantic on Wikipedia, they got a picture of Obama. And he very well might be the pinnacle of their Zionist agenda right now. You know, they've used assassinations of leaders before to start world wars. Should that happen to Obama, expect much of the same. I've been writing about this possibility since 2013, based on the number of people who've died in this world by the number 44 in high places. It is a reasonable hypothesis and something to think about in case it is done. The point of my research is to get ahead of the powers that be who plot this madness, put it in our face, and then get away with it. That needs to stop. All right, so now let's get to the actual speech. The supposed plagiarism and the words that were repeated. We'll watch the speech. I want to show you all that was coded into the headlines, though, when this happened. Campaign, nothing to see here. The phrase nothing to see here has gematria of 187. The date of this speech was 18/7, July 18th. Nothing to see here. The small way, gematria of 88, like Trump, like Elizabeth, like it coming 88 days after the Queen's birthday. Getting those numbers connected. George Washington, the first recognized president. Michelle gave her speech that was supposedly plagiarized August 25th, 8 plus 25, 33. What else is interesting about Denver is it has the same gematria as Barack Obama. Denver equals Barack Obama. If you haven't seen my work on the Denver Broncos, Obama's congratulations, and then visiting the White House, check that out because it was all done by these numbers. Interesting that this speech was in Denver, and Denver has the same gematria as Barack Obama, which is 68, which was a very fateful year for this nation. It's also the year that Donald Trump's business career began. Donald Trump's highest tower built after him is 68 stories tall. In the year 68, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. Two major political assassinations, black and white. It's the year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. It's the year World Trade Center construction began. It's the year George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. 33 years before September 11th, before 2001. It's also a date with 61 and 41 numerology. That's interesting because Donald Trump's wife, the date she gave her speech was also a date with 61 and 41 numerology. 61 is the year Barack Obama was born, the year JFK became president. Christmas Day, 1961, there was an episode released on the Andy Griffith Show about the assassination, or not the assassination, the episode was about a bootlegging family getting busted at 411 Elm Street. And then JFK would be assassinated 2 years later from 411 Elm Street in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Freemason. And what's interesting about his year of assassination, 63, is that if you add every number up to 63, it sums to 2016, like the year we're in right now, the year of this election. USA equals 41, mom equals 41, they're both moms. So we'll watch these speeches, and then we will talk about the words that were supposedly plagiarized and what the grand mocking is in this story. Turn up the news coverage here. Here's the two speeches and the points of controversy.
Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life. That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
My parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life. That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them, and even if you don't agree with them.
That you treat people with respect. They taught and showed me values and morals in their daily life. That is a lesson that I continue to pass along to our son. And we need to pass those lessons on to the many generations to follow.
And Barack and I set out to build lives guided by these values and to pass them on to the next generation, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
All right, so, people are making the focus that she copied her words. And this is all part of a grand mocking because these people are having their speeches written by the same gang. And just think about how ridiculous that is, that we're so conditioned to accepting having people go before us and read speeches that they didn't write. If you're going to give a speech, if you're going to speak to people, it should come from you. Where in this world do we educate our children to read somebody else's speech? You know, when we all go to school, we're all taught to write our own speeches and give them before the class. We don't have somebody else write the speech for us. But that point aside, let's think about what they said, what was emphasized. The first one was work for what you want. And just think about that. That's actually everything that's wrong with this world. From a young age, we are given the carrot on a stick model, to follow the dangly object that we want. What we should be doing is working to help our fellow man, to make this world better, to make it a better world for the generations coming up behind us. All of us who don't like this world, who are bitter about this world, we should want to make it better for the children coming up so that they don't have to go through the same struggles as we do. Not work for what we want. That's what's wrong with the world. Everyone just worrying about what they want and what will be fun for them and what will, give them a moment of pleasure. Sure, you need that stuff, but that shouldn't be the focus of your life. And that is what has been made the focus of our lives, to chase material wishes. So then the next one, your word is your bond. You know what? I don't want to hear about how these people plagiarize their speeches when they're talking about your word is your bond. Michelle Obama is the wife of Barack Obama, who showed that his word meant jack shit when he was running for president in 2008. When he was running for president, there was the biggest issue in Congress that has come across Congress in maybe the last 2 decades. That issue was, do these companies that we pay for phone, internet, who had been collecting our data, tracking our information, and storing it, violating our constitutional rights, did they have immunity from that wrongdoing? That was the issue in Congress. Could these companies be given immunity for all of their, constitutional rights breaking wrongdoing? And Barack Obama was on the campaign trail saying the right thing, saying that they can't get away with this, they can't be immunity, there needs to be justice, there needs to be the process. What happened when Barack Obama had to vote on this? He voted the exact opposite of what he'd been saying for months. The exact opposite. And this is a huge issue. This was a major lie. This was a major 180. It showed that his word was worth absolutely nothing. And also, for people who were paying attention, his voting record was already atrocious. He voted on the wrong side of every war, every bank bailout. He was Mr. Wall Street, not Mr. Main Street. And then, here a chance to redeem himself and vote the right way on this important issue, and he votes exactly opposite of how he campaigned. I mean, it doesn't get any worse. It doesn't get any more political. And what was so sad is in 2008, when I was aware of all this, I used to have his voting record printed out. I used to talk to all these Obama supporters trying to wake people up all over Seattle. And everyone, what they'd respond back to me is with their blank stares and go, "Oh, I didn't know. I hadn't heard that." Because everybody's just watching shit like this. CNN, mainstream news, where all they give you is tabloid news story that does nothing for you. What does it matter if, they plagiarized each other's speeches? I mean, who even cares? These speeches are irrelevant. All that matters for elected office is, what have you done? What are you going to do? That's all that matters. And when you look at these people's records, it's obvious that what they're going to do is work for the rich tyrants who are in charge and continue to sell out the American people. So then what's next? Treat people with dignity and respect. When you become the president, as it is in this world as we live in now, all you do is you go before the public and you lie to them, you deceive them, you give them some happy picture that's anything but the truth. And that's what every president does. And nothing about that has to do with dignity and respect. Nothing. And then what? Pass these lessons and values on to the next generation. Really, it's just sick. This is what they do. They pass on these values to each generation. We all grow up in the same system where we vote for the lesser of two evils. Everybody learns that. You talk to somebody who's 80 years old, they'll say that. You talk to somebody who's in high school, they've already learned that phrase. Voting for the lesser of two evils. Every 4 years, we're voting for the lesser of two evils. We need to start passing on the right lessons and values. And the only way that's going to happen is if we wake up and take this system back, you know? Take it over for the first time. When I say take it back, that actually isn't true. We couldn't be taking it back because we've never had control of it. When are we going to get control of our own lives, our own destiny, and stop getting drug around with the carrot on the stick, you know? Having our time wasted, having our energy stolen. And then the last line, the only limit is the reach of your dreams. And that's what they want us to do, stay in the dream world. You know, that's where all the Obama supporters were in 2008. They were in the dream world. There wasn't a single person who voted for Obama in this country that knew who they were voting for. And that's not an exaggeration. Every single person who voted for Obama thought he was something that he wasn't. Anybody who saw what Obama was, there's no way they'd ever vote for that. You're looking at one of those people. So here was another headline during the time she was giving her speech. This was one of her lines. Like me, Donald loves America. You know, Donald Trump, the guy who's so worried about people being from other places, he's married to a woman that's from another land. What used to be the USSR. So anyway, like me, Donald loves America. Nice coded headline, gematria of 228, just like United States of America, the big way. The word death in English gematria also shares 228. Gives new light on death to America, that phrase, a nation that began with a genocide that's always been at war. The date she was born, April 26, 1970. Interesting, she's born on a date with 119 numerology. Like all-seeing eye, like Star of David, as I continue to explain, these Masonic men, they get married to these women. It's like arranged marriage, Masonic cartel network. I mean, when you see Donald Trump and his wife together, don't they look like two friends? They don't look like they're in love at all. Their marriage just looks like a horrible farce. You know, the way they kiss, hug, you can tell it's empty. And, you know, there's a lot of empty marriages in this world. How many women get married to old men just for money? I live near Microsoft Land, Bellevue, Washington. You go down there, there's these old fat dudes, bald and fancy cars. They got 25-year-old girlfriends. You know? The things money do. This woman's birth name, his wife, what her birth name is, same gematria as Freemason and Zionism as well. You know, born on a date, symbolic numerology to the Zionists and Masons. These are just Manchurian people going before us, born into families, happy to be puppets. But here, the point I really wanted to make is with this 228 headline, I've been talking about how August 22nd, 22/8 is a date to look out for, among other dates. I want to remind you all that's up with this date. The leader of the Black Panther Party, Huey P. Newton, he died on this date in history, August 22nd, 1989, in Oakland, where he founded the Black Panther Party. 1989 is the year of the new Black Panther Party. New Black Panther Party equals 89. They were established in 89. They've been getting attention in these contrived race war stories from Charleston and other shootings. With regards to Oakland and Huey P. Newton, look at this. Oakland equals 58, Huey P. Newton equals 58, Nation of Islam, which is related, equals 58. We're getting these stories of black on white violence, Nation of Islam, Black Panther Party, you know, Black Lives Matter. We've seen the racial stories with Donald Trump, black men getting beat at his rallies, Donald Trump saying they deserve it. All of these narratives are going somewhere. I will not be surprised if before the election we have an assassination attempt on Trump and Obama, just as we had in '68. For all part of this, you know, order out of chaos. That is the Masonic motto. Divide and conquer, order out of chaos. These stories would surely breed that in the population. People who are charged racially, politically, have hatred for others, getting caught up in these agendas. My work is about helping people see through the agenda and what's being done at us and how we're being pulled by these ongoing propaganda stories and lies. Earlier this year, there was the story of a Trump tombstone on Easter Sunday. You know, Easter, rising from the grave. Trump tombstone has Gematria 58, just like Freemasonry, just like Ford's Theater, which Obama reopened where Lincoln was assassinated. August 22nd this year, also an interesting date for a number of reasons. From the July 7th shooting, which was blamed on a Nation of Islam member as retaliation for killing by white cops, to August 22nd will be 46 days. The Trump tombstone story from Easter Sunday, that was a date with 46 numerology. Trump was born in the year 46. The word sacrifice equals 46. All of these stories are contrived propaganda. The Alton Sterling shooting, the Philando Castile shooting, the Dallas police shooting, the Baton Rouge shooting. All of these stories are part of this agenda. What's on the news is part of a made-for-TV, ongoing psychological operations. There are people writing the news just like they write sitcoms. You know, it's not that hard to imagine and understand when you think about all the programming that's out there. Think about all the writers for all the shows. You know, there's a group of people doing that for contrived news as well. Anyhow, from the Dallas shooting blamed on the Nation of Islam member to August 22nd is 46 days. Dallas police equals 46. Dallas, Texas equals 46. Sacrifice equals 46. Hate crime equals 46. That's the narrative right now. Hate crimes. And if Donald Trump gets assassinated, you can bet they'll say it was a, Black Lives Matter member or a Nation of Islam member. It was a hate crime. They'll use all this program language. This was supposedly the assassin down in Dallas. Very contrived shot here. His bicep with the word colors in the background. The numbers 44 and 84 on the background as well. Numbers important to both Trump and Obama. The name Obama in Jewish gematria is 84. His birthday is 8/4. If you add up the divisors of the number 44, they sum to 84. Again, Donald Trump, trying to be the 44th president, became famous in 84. August 22nd this year, because it's a leap year, is also the 235th day of the year, and they've been coding this number in stories of race-based killing. There's this card from the Illuminati card game called Hit and Run, and it has to do with assassination, and it shows this license plate, 235666. 666 is the number of prophecy. This year, August 22nd, is the 235th day of the year, and Hit and Run in gematria also sums to 46. You know, we've seen this card game predict other things before. Perhaps that is foreshadowing something similar to come. That said, I've also shown how this card might have applied to incidents of the past. Bill Clinton's father was killed in the year 46 in a location with name gematria of 235, and he was killed according to the numbers of prophecy as well. Bill Clinton's biological father. Donald Trump, born the same year Bill Clinton's father, killed on a business trip going from Illinois back to his town of Hope, Arkansas. Hillary from Illinois. And just to tie up some of these thoughts that we've expressed, a fellow reader commented this on a video I put out recently. He's looking at July 22nd, 22/7, another number connected to political assassinations throughout history. This is the day after the GOP convention concludes. Check this out. He thinks something's going to happen July 22nd. And then at the end he says he doesn't think it, kind of in a humorous way, but just show you this. July 22nd will be 33 days after King James's birthday. The real King James, LeBron James, nicknamed King James, won the NBA championship for Cleveland June 19th. From that day, June 19th, to July 22nd is 33 days. Again, Cleveland equals 33, number connected to sacrifice. He points out July 22nd will also be 117 days after the Donald Trump tombstone incident, which was Easter Sunday, March 27th, 2016. Donald Trump's been connected to 117 all year. It will also be 38 days after Trump's birthday, which was June 14th. 38, number connected to death. Fox Business Insider released an article on July 22nd, 2015, coincidentally, about Trump building a mass graveyard on the first hole of his Bedminster, New Jersey golf course. He said he plans on being buried there. Bedminster has gematria 46, and the guy who wrote the article has last name of Gasparino, gematria 46. And by the way, if you guys haven't seen my video where they put out who supposedly created that Trump tombstone, these same numbers were coded into the creator of the tombstone. Older videos you can go back and watch. Just type Zachary K. Hubbard, Trump tombstone, the videos will load up. Gasparino sums to 46, and of course sacrifice equals 46. Trump was born in 46. This golf course is located in Bedminster, New Jersey, which sums to 133 and 52. Numbers for government, prophecy, and White House. Golf course has gematria 49 and 121, like being connected to Revelation, numbers of Revelation, the book of prophecy. On July 22nd, 2014, here's another story from the past. The white flags were found on the Brooklyn Bridge that replaced American flags. Lastly, remember that Illuminati card game has which we just looked at, the 235666. He points out that when you write out July 22nd in gematria, it sums to 235 as well. Card game we just looked at. And then he says, anyway, nothing will probably happen. And it is a good point. You know, he shouldn't say nothing will happen. A lot of times when all of these events are coded into a date, what it ends up being is a big day of news stories that are all part of this repetitive cycle. I was telling people earlier this year to look for May 23rd. When May 23rd came, we got the surprise story about Obama going to Vietnam by the numbers. We got the Freddie Gray officer acquittal and more. That was a loaded day of headlines. So, you know, it doesn't always mean tragedy is going to come. When they're doing this coding, a lot of times they're just cluing into what will be the next step in the ongoing narrative. These people work at a slow boil's pace, you know? It's been a long time since we had a really devastating news story, but they are ones that come. They come for a generation. They plant seeds, you know, for years to come. That date, July 22nd, 22/7, for a reminder, if you divide 22 by 7, you get the number for pi, 3.14. If you write out 22 divided by 7 in gematria, it sums to 314, a lot like 3.14. It's a number that shows up in assassination again and again. In the chapter draft that I've released on presidential assassinations, I show the number of occurrences with 227. The most recent was the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan on March 30th. March 30th, at 2:27 in the afternoon, there was an assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. Another way to say that is 33 minutes till 3. He was the 33rd governor of California. From July 22nd to the November 8th election is also 110 days. That stands out in a big way, as does 15 weeks, 5 days, because the word president equals 110. Could we get a big story connected to the upcoming presidential election on that date? GOP party in gematria also sums to 118. The other way to say the Republican Party. Death has gematria of 118. Grand Old Party also has that gematria of 155, kind of like 15 weeks and 5 days. Lincoln was reelected November 8th, 1864, 11/8. He'd be assassinated April 14th, 1865. He'd die April 15th, 65, a date with 84 numerology, like United States of America, like Obama, like we are the champions. So Donald Trump, you know, he's just another guy that is here to let us down. That headline, he will never let us down, that's all part of the grand mocking. This is the kind of world we live in. This is how scripted it is. This is why Trump's coming out to Queen. This is why we're getting headlines about plagiarized speeches where they're making the focus the plagiarism instead of how these politicians never live up to the truth. You know, they want our minds everywhere but where they should be. And I'm trying to bring your mind to where it needs to be so you can see what's really going on in this world. All of you Trump supporters need to wake up. All of you Hillary supporters need to wake up. All of you who support this system, you keep the tyranny in place. Until next time.